struggle to pay back loans and mortgages. Here to talk about how to save those dollars is Te Kahukura Boynton, known as the Māori Millionaire, who joins me this morning. Morena, pehe ana koe I tātana. How are you this morning?
Tēnā koe, kei te ora ahau. Thank you for having me this morning.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Hey, tell me about, we heard what the latest data is telling us about what people are struggling with, but you've got a number of social media pages, and I just wonder what people are talking to you about as well and what they're struggling with.
I think a lot of people are really struggling with the cost of living at the moment. A lot of whānau aren't taking in enough pūtea from their jobs. They have one source of income, most of them. And so a higher cost of living is worrying them a lot. I have a lot of worried people. So I get a lot of messages of mums especially saying, kia ora, like, I don't have any money to feed my children. What can I do? And it's really tough at the moment to see so many people struggling.
Yeah, so what is it that you actually save back to them? And I guess what I'm asking for is, you know, what are some ideas or advice that you have actually given to people in order to save money?
The best tip that I have is going right back to the basics and starting with your budget. So I literally use a napkin and I write on one side my income and then my expenses, and then you basically are able to calculate like immediately, do I make not enough money or are my expenses too high? And then you have two options to either reduce your expenses or earn an extra income. So I really encourage people to look at increasing their income over reducing their expenses, because I believe that a lot of New Zealanders are already crunched for money at the moment, and it's far more effective to look at how can you increase your income, because that is unlimited, it's uncapped, but you know, you're always going to have expenses.
Yeah, so that's one part of it, but also I imagine that a number of people who you connect in with will have some debt as well. So in terms of how to get rid of that, what are the tips that you give up for that?
I really encourage creating a strategy for paying off your debt. So one of the examples I have is listing out all of your debts, and then you can either start from the highest amount of debt or the highest interest percentage and just work your way through. I did a budget strategy for someone earlier this year, and we created a strategy that should be debt-free by the end of the year if she had allocated more pūtea towards paying off her debt and reduced her spending on discretionary items like takeaways or energy drinks.
Yeah, I also know that a large part of what you do is around getting our rangatahi or our young people to understand money as well. So what are the questions that they're asking you?
A lot of rangatahi are leaving home and they're going into employment or going to university, and they're not well prepared for this environment. So a lot of them are coming to me with questions saying that they're very concerned about their situation. They have no idea how to formulate a budget, no idea how to forecast, you know, the next month, or are they making enough money? And so I think the biggest issue I see with rangatahi is that we don't have confidence because we don't have the foundations to perform well within our financial lives, and I think that contributes to all areas of our lives, because when you don't have pūtea, you can't live well in society.
We're talking about rangatahi, kids are going back to school, and we're having a conversation a little bit later on around the anxiety that some kids are feeling, and I imagine that it's being passed on from their parents who are worried about money, and so some kids are turning up to school, they've got that anxiety, but it's actually around money, whether they can, you know, afford the books, whether they can afford the uniforms, etc. So when should we actually start having those conversations, in your opinion, with young people?
Oh, as early as we can. When I was young, my mum used to sit me down and we'd do our budget together. I remember we did this every week. We sat on the couch and would go through an Excel spreadsheet. We did it together, and that way I was well informed with what we were actually doing. I don't believe that children should hold the stress of, you know, financial situations, but I think if you're able to work together, children are really creative, and we have some, I'm not saying I'm a child, but when I had awesome ideas like, Mum, why don't we save money in this area, or why don't we cut expenses here so that we can have more money in this area. So I think we should give children more of an opportunity to actually be part of these key tasks in our families and stop excluding them, because that means that children are growing up and they have no idea how to, you know, run their own finances when they're adults, because they've never done it before.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of whakamā from the parents, I think, about talking about their financial situation. And so, you know, as we pass that on to our kids. Hey, we've got to wrap things up, but are you 20? You're 20 still, right? Yeah, so you're 20. Are you in your final year of your law degree?
I've taken a small break to focus on the business at the moment, but I will be back to finish my law degree.
Oh, wicked. And you call yourself the Māori Millionaire. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this is a kaupapa that I started when I was in my first year of uni, and I was exactly like all the people messaging me, very, not well prepared, I think, in terms of an income at uni, and so I worried a lot about PTO in my first semester, and I thought I cannot continue my degree like this, and so many other people are struggling with exactly the same thing, so I started creating resources online for anyone to engage with so that we can all, give this cost of living a good crack if we do it all together.
Yeah, so it's aspirational, right? Māori Millionaire, that's your aspiration. Love it. Te Kahukura Boynton, Māori Millionaire, joining us this morning. Tēnā koe. So good to chat with you this morning. I love following you on Instagram too. The thing about her Instagram account is that she'll bring up really basic stuff about how you can, save or tips. And I will, 9 times out of 10, I'll probably scroll past because it hits me and I go, wow, that's me. Wow, that's me. Wow, that's me.
Joe, there's another way around this that will make you feel better. Save it for later.
Save. Yes, I will get back to that.
I'll come back to that. Of course I will do that. It will make you feel better very short term and then you can instantly forget about it.
I just find in terms